Hey guys, Kyle the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for My Hero Academia chapter 204. And to start off the chapter, we basically get a flashback of what Iida had to do in order to achieve this increase in power he's gotten, which is that he had to pull out the muffler on his leg. And what I like about, or I'm not sure if it's just one muffler or two mufflers. I think it's just one, but yeah, he had to pull out the muffler on his leg. And what I like about this is that it adds that little something extra to the reasoning of how Iida could basically ended up having to make his work stronger beyond just training really hard. And in this case, it works when you remember that Iida's quirk. It does relate to pretty much how basically how pretty much it would be a car works. And from the way Tensei was talking, it sounded like when you see the page, you see that he's like when you see the page, you see he's biting. When you see the page, you see that he's basically biting down on a cloth in order. So you get that it's painful, but from the way Tensei explained it, though, like with the whole perseverance thing and whatnot, um, it does. It sounded like pulling the muffler out was the easy part. Well, all the training afterwards was the hard part. Like just kind of controlling just the output and speed is like even like the thing. Even in the chapter, we basically see that Iida hasn't like. There are moments where you kind of see that Iida himself he hasn't fully mastered pretty much the power. He's only gained at least only a small enough amount of control of it where he can do some basic stunts and whatnot. So yeah, it's like Iida definitely has gained power, but he still has a long way to go in terms of controlling that power. So yeah, it should be interesting to see as to where Iida goes from here in terms of what more training he has to do to control this. Um, and like and yeah, because all he's done right now is he needs to control. I think it's the speed output of it right now. Um, I also like how we get a brief look at how far Ida has come in terms of ideals and what he wants to be as a hero by putting faith in others and how he worked with and in this case of this chapter how he worked with Ojiro in this chapter definitely played off like a lot of what he wants to be as a hero and in terms of like Ojiro and Ida's teamwork, it played off pretty much how they worked as a team in the final exams arc as well. And surprisingly, after this chapter, I want to see more of I wanted to see more of Ojiro in the chapter, but what we got was pretty good. Although, if I did have one small little critique of the chapter, and it is like I said, it's a very minor thing, but it is still something that just kind of threw me off, is that there was a moment where I think it all has to do with the translation, but there was a moment where in Nita's little speech there was actually a repeated part. There's actually a bit of a repeated part there. In fact, I'll pull it up here just a second. But yeah, there was a repeated part of what Ida was saying. I was like, okay, okay, that kind of threw the speech off. That kind of threw the importance of the speech off a bit. But okay, I'll just chalk it up to a translation error. But yeah, oh here it is. If I can do so here. He said my my bro would have done this and I will follow that. If I can't do so here in practice, then I won't be able to do it when it when it when. So yeah, it was just a minor little translation issue, but it was like it kind of threw me off a little bit. Um, of course, not having a whole lot of focus. Of course, not having a whole lot of having little focus on Ojiro was definitely made up for by what I really wanted to see in the past couple chapters, which is the fight between Tetsutetsu and Todoroki, and just seeing Tetsutetsu in general. And the thing is, even knowing that Todoroki has an ace up his sleeve that we still have yet to see, this chapter still gave us like all the reasons we needed, all the reasons necessary in order to believe that even then, Tetsutetsu might not be so easily defeated, if at all. Especially if him surviving that giant wave of fire is anything to go off of. I like I like how Horikoshi has set up these fights in a way where I'm not gonna say it's completely unpredictable, but there is a certain amount of unpredictability to them in terms of who will win and who will lose. Because if there's anything I learned from the Class B victory and with between Momo and Kendo is that yeah, Horikoshi, he's setting this up where he's making sure to give he's making sure that everyone wins in this case. So, and honestly, in terms of the wins and losses in this arc, I can almost see it ending up as a tie. I mean, the whole thing itself is just one big test anyway. But yeah, I can see it being like an even split between Class B between Class B winning a few matches and Class A winning an equal amount of matches as well. So yeah, um, and just like with Iida, in terms of the way that Tetsutetsu developed his quirk was very cleverly done, but also a little funny if you think about it, because I looked up there was a moment where he described in order to overcome his limits he trained in a hearth or something like that. So after I saw that, I looked up just briefly as to what a hearth was and remind myself what it is, and even though there are several different definitions to go off of, essentially what basically Tetsu is saying, but by saying he trained in a hearth, it means that he basically trained is basically means that he put his quirk on, like he had his quirk on, and he trained in either the bottom of a furnace or fireplace. That is legitimately what he did. He trained in a furnace, fireplace, or fireplace or something like that. Yeah, and I'm a little inclined to believe the former, that he trained in like a furnace or something like that, in a giant furnace or something like that, as that would get better results in overcoming your limits, as he put it as well. So yeah, for as funny as the concept sounded, of Tetsu training in a hearth, it also reinforced his dedication to pretty much being a hero, because Tetsu in the past he has proven just like his bromance with basically Eijiro, he does that just like Eijiro, just like his brother from another mother Eijiro. He definitely has the drive and the desire to be like one of the greatest heroes of all time. So yeah, he's definitely pushing himself, and I love that. Like Tetsutetsu is of all like I've had a lot of favorite characters, but definitely something about Tetsutetsu and Eijiro for sure have definitely there was something about Eijiro and Tetsutetsu that definitely drew me a little bit more towards them. I think it was just their constant like pushing forward, just their constant like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna push forward as far as I can. So yeah, Tetsutetsu, like, yeah, he's been on my radar ever since because of that, and I've wanted to see more of him ever since like the whole villains thing, and now we're getting it. Surprisingly though, one thing I didn't think I would like about this chapter, but I did, is the way that how Horikoshi ended up utilizing Izuku, because even though Izuku was only a spectator for the fights, there were a lot of good points raised, like the fact that Iida kinda like in terms of Iida, for instance, the way Iida had made it, with the way Iida like increased his power and whatnot. If you think about it, he really had no choice but to do what he did in order to separate himself as a hero from Izuku, because because of Izuku, because if you because it's kind of weird to think, but in a way that's something I never really thought about. But even though Izuku did stop copying All Might, it was kind of an inevitability that he'd take inspiration from everyone else around him, and in the case of Izuku's shoot style, he inevitably ends up taking from basically Iida. So yeah, it's kind of funny how even though he stopped copying one person, he still inevitably kind of inadvertently ended up copying another, even if the quirks are different. So yeah, it's funny to think that this is also Iida's way of standing out too. But yeah, guys, that's my review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Crunchyroll. Death Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.